Hello, and welcome back to the Fortify Coaching Podcast with me, Joe.
And me, Nina.
And today we are going to be celebrating International Women's Day by doing a podcast all about training for women specifically and all of the benefits that come along with that.
Celebrating us.
Celebrating you girls. I nearly said celebrating us there. But it's not. No, so benefits of weight training. So, we, both me and you, probably predominantly work with women, I would say.
Yeah.
I do probably work with a handful more guys than you do, but we do largely work with a lot of women.
Yeah.
And the range is quite broad. So, we've got women who are complete beginners to exercise in general. We've got women who are into weight training, but maybe just don't know what they're doing so much, or prior to us, they didn't. And then we've got the other end of the spectrum where we've got women who have been athletes or are still athletes. We've got women who do bodybuilding competitions and everything in between those two spectrums. But realistically, today we're here to talk about why women should get involved in weight training.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of aspects and a lot of benefits that probably aren't talked about enough. A lot of people, they'll convince somebody to weight train just to change how they look, but they don't really touch on the broader spectrum of benefits that come along with the mindset, the health benefits, how it impacts menopause, menstrual cycle. And I know we're going to do a part 2 to this, aren't we? That touches a little bit more on those two subjects. But obviously we can have a brief overview today as well on how the positive impact weight training has on those two things, which all women go through.
Yeah, you're right. I think a lot of women, and in fact a lot of people, but we're talking about women, come to us with aesthetic goals. They come to us largely because they want to change how they look, but they normally leave having gained so much more than that. Don't get me wrong, there are some people who come for non-aesthetic goals. We probably have a large portion of that, to be honest, but a lot of people come to us because they want aesthetic goals. But what they really realise when they're following our programs, when they're working with us as clients and coaches in a client-coach relationship, is that they leave with not just changes to their physical appearance, but their mental health, their relationship with food, their confidence, they feel more empowered, they're stronger, all through weight training. So kind of the benefits and the courage that weight trainers really give them, I guess.
Yeah, my absolute favourite thing in the world is when somebody comes to me with a specific goal and it's always to change their body, but they go away leaving not even thinking about how they look anymore, and that it's more about how they feel and what they've accomplished within the program. And don't get me wrong, that's not to say we don't work on getting results with people in terms of their aesthetics, but I like the fact that the focus shifts often when you do the work with people on how they're feeling on an emotional level, and how that transcends to how they see themselves. And weight training is a big part of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And, when we talk about that, how you see yourself, that relationship with yourself, weight training goes a long way to improving that, I think. And this is kind of a stereotype, but it does ring true for a lot of women, especially because there is a diet mentality and culture along women more so than there is in men. That a lot of the time women have spent years focusing on a number on the scales and trying to get that number to go down. And then when they get into the gym and they start focusing on themselves and trying to get stronger and trying to lift more weight, it can be quite empowering to then have that flipped and start focusing on a number going up for a change instead of just trying to focus on a number going down, which there is no end to that. Like, you're always going to be trying to get the number to go down, and there is detrimental aspects to that. Whereas at least with weight training, it's empowering to see that you're getting stronger. It's empowering to see that your numbers are going up, that you're getting better in the gym, you're getting better and improving at something, rather than getting on the scales and feeling defeated and beat about something.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely one of the biggest benefits to kind of step somebody away from exercising for fat loss and actually training towards a performance-focused goal. And that's hard to do sometimes. It's sometimes hard to unpick somebody's beliefs around that. But then once you get there, it's very satisfying.
Yeah, when someone's had these beliefs, and we've all got different beliefs, for whatever reason, whether we pick them up as a child, whether we've picked them up as an adult, or anywhere in between that time, we can have had these beliefs for 20, 30, 40 plus years. So unpicking them takes a little bit of time. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. But yeah, you're absolutely right there.
I think one of the biggest questions to ask people who you work with as well, and it's a question I know we speak to our clients about, I often ask them what they are biased towards, and I actually use the word bias. So I sort of say, like, what do you deem as a healthy body? And 9 times out of 10, they will say somebody with very low body fat and a lot of muscle, the bodybuilder.
Yeah.
And they will work towards that because they've got this bias that they're told that that is a healthy thing to work towards. And when you get somebody involved in a program and they realize that their health markers go up regardless of body fat levels, and they feel better, they're moving better, they're getting stronger, they can see muscle development, even if their weight, as in their fat mass, does not change, it changes that perspective completely. And they get to see and feel that they are healthy despite the fat loss.
Yeah.
And then their cognitive bias towards what they deem healthy changes. And that gives you a better body image.
Yeah.
Or self body image.
Yeah. You know, there are so many mental health benefits of doing weight training. You go into the gym, you come out feeling better. You know, it's not something that is completely tiring and, you know, almost monotonous getting on the treadmill. Like a lot of women will go to the gym and just do cardio because that's all they know, or they have their own preconceptions about what weight training will do for them in terms of that old school thought of lifting weights is going to make me bulky and X, Y, and Z. But really, when they do start getting into the gym and lifting weights, the mental health benefits for a woman and for anyone, but for a woman specifically, are huge.
Yeah.
We're talking about, what things we're talking about? We're talking about increased confidence.
Yeah.
Better self-esteem.
Yeah. And again, these don't necessarily come from the changes you see in your body. Like, these come from actually achieving something.
Yeah.
And working towards that performance and actually going in and getting a buzz out of your workout because you've actually managed to get to the next level in it of some sort. And that helps your mental health no end. And like working towards something, I think, like earning what you are, earning your health essentially. And I think that gives you a sense of like achievement. Like if you just buy something and it helps towards, I don't know, like a beauty product or whatever, and it's not earned, it's not as rewarding.
Yeah.
Whereas weight training gives you that, I don't know what the word is.
Well, it's similar to the analogy of kind of, you feel, let's say you're a lottery winner who's won £1 million.
Yes, it is that one.
Compared to someone who's worked and built their own business from the ground up and having that sense of like you've worked for something, you've earned it, you've worked hard for it, it's took your time, you've put the effort in to achieve something rather than just being given something.
Yeah.
It's kind of that.
Yeah, that sense of achievement. And once you've achieved that, you never want to let it go because you've worked so hard to achieve it as well. So when you've worked for something like this, you're much more likely to hang on to it and keep working towards it. And it's kind of like, it goes back to the quick fixes, doesn't it? If we go back to like diet culture and you know, trying to lose weight in the quickest way possible and be the leanest possible person you can be. It goes back to, you want the shortest cut. And you take that shortcut, it works, you lose the weight. But you almost, because you've taken the shortcut, you end up gaining all that weight back. Whereas, you know, I know we're not talking about weight loss here, but it's the same format. It's the same mentality. You work towards something, you want to hold on to it, you want to keep it, and that's motivating in itself. There's nothing worse than losing your fitness or losing your strength. There's no worse feeling. Like if you get poorly or something like that and you're out for 6 weeks and you have to go back to your training and it takes a few weeks to get back into it. It's always returned and it's always returned very quickly. But the actual initial few sessions, I think everybody felt it after lockdown, coming back into the gyms and going, oh my God, and it was a horrible feeling. So, you know, when you've worked hard for something, you want to keep it going. So...
Well, we talk about motivation a lot, and it's because we speak to people who struggle to get themselves motivated, and quite often that's because their goal is normally just based on how they look and the fact that they've got a diet.
Yeah.
Now, when you remove changing how you look, and when you remove the constant need to diet, and you focus on building yourself up in terms of working on a strength goal, getting fitter, lifting weights, doing those sort of things, that's where your motivation comes, because you don't dread going to the gym then. You don't dread doing exercise because you're doing it for your health. You're not doing it necessarily because you hate how you look. You're doing it because it has health benefits for you, because it makes you feel good after, because you leave with a sense of accomplishment. You leave with a bit of a buzz after you've been to the gym, rather than, oh, I'm glad that's over, and go back to sitting on the couch now because that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah. It's one of the reasons when we do our check-in processes that the actual focus on how much somebody's body's changed is quite minimal in comparison to what mindset changes have you seen this week? What improvements have you seen this week on a physical level? What improvements have you seen this week on a mental level? Like, those are our questions when we get our clients to check in. And that's to get them to think outside of just how they look. And what that results in, and what, again, weight training results in, and having those performance markers achieved, is I've actually had clients come to me with weight loss goals. And once we've started on that journey and got probably halfway, I've had clients turn around to me and say, I don't want to lose any more weight. I know I set myself up for losing 3 stone, but I'm a stone down. I'm feeling healthier. I'm loving the gym. I'm loving the process. I feel great in myself. I don't want to lose any more weight. I just want to maintain now and actually work towards more performance goals and lifting heavier. And I love it when that happens, because, again, that is a happier person within her body, because she's managed to achieve X, Y, and Z instead of just focusing on the scales. And, dieting doesn't promote performance.
No, it doesn't. It's quite the opposite, really. Because whenever you're dieting, you're in a negative energy balance, which means that you're going to perform worse. And those effects might not be instant within a week, but 3 months down the line, you won't or shouldn't be performing as well as you were, on day one. Not really.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was your journey like into weight training? Like, what was your background to that? Have you always lifted weights, or have you come from somewhere else? And what sort of benefits have you seen from it?
No, I haven't always lifted weights. I was definitely a very sporty kid, and that literally stayed with me forever. So I did a lot of team sports. I did a lot of individual sports. I was a sprinter, like competitive to a decent level. So I was always performance driven. So I guess my background is a little bit different to people, but definitely when I started weight training, I probably had a little bit of misplaced self-worth, I want to say. Like, when I came into the industry as a personal trainer, I felt like I had to be in shape. And so it didn't matter that I already loved training and I already got a lot of benefit out of it. I think initially I used it as a way to change my body because I felt like I had to fit in with the industry. And it was only when, I started working on myself a little bit more and worked on my self-worth and started to work on performance. So that's when I started to dabble in things like Olympic lifting and, working on my numbers and periodizing my training and working on my strength. And then it kind of changed. Like, now I hate dieting. Like, I absolutely hate it because of how I feel in the gym. I hate feeling like I've got no energy. So I guess throughout my journey as a personal trainer, it's changed. Like, it was very body focused and I was probably more body negative because of how I emphasized training for how I looked. And don't get me wrong, I still train for how I look, but it's not a focus. It's not like the only focus. I like to feel healthy, and I actually don't mind holding a bit of fat now. Like, I used to be really paranoid. It used to really bother me, but I've done the work to get away from that.
What sort of work are you talking? Mental work on yourself?
Yeah.
Work on yourself?
So it's a task I get a lot of my clients to do. I get them to do it on a weekly basis, and it's something we've mentioned in the podcast already. I get them to list things that they appreciate about themselves, which is not related to how they look. And I expect that answer every week. If my clients don't fill out that question, I catch them on it and I say, like, where's that question? Where's that answer? You have to answer me on that now. And
do you think that's something that your female clients struggle with sometimes?
Yes, a lot of the time, in fact. I've got a couple of clients that I actually get them to do it nightly, who have really bad, like, negative body image, and it really helps. So it's just literally 2 things that they appreciate about themselves. And it has to be, it's not just about physical, it's about emotional, it's about like emotional connections. It's like being thankful for embracing a child. You know, it's about having the ability to be even artistic, like being able to dance, being able to draw, being able to, it's little things like that. It's like your body is responsible for everything. It's responsible for taking you to work. It's responsible for looking after your children. It's responsible for allowing you to enjoy nature. It's responsible for, like I say, allowing you to embrace your children, give love, receive love. It's all of these things. So I get them to think about it on much like a big holistic level rather than just, I'm thankful that I'm strong.
Yeah, and I guess that's exactly why women should treat their body with a bit of respect by exercising, by going to the gym, by lifting weights, because it does a hell of a lot for them and they need to make sure that it's working. I often say when I have consultation, I think we maybe covered this recently, but when I'll have consultations with women, they don't prioritize themselves
Oh, yeah.
because they prioritize my kids. My kids are number one. I've got to look after my kids, got to look after my partner, and I'm always last in the pecking order. My response is always, if you want to really look after the people you care about the most, then you need to prioritize yourself. How can you be expected to give anyone else your best and be the best mum and best partner and everything else to anyone if you're of poor health, if your body isn't capable of functioning at its best day to day? And that's always my take on it. So that's exactly why women should look after themselves, get to the gym and or at the home gym and lift some weights.
Yeah, I think that is a big one. And what women don't realise, and men, I know we're talking about women, but it's not just women. People can lose their identities when they become parents. And, I have a lot of mums who do say, like, I've lost myself completely. I used to go here, there and everywhere. I used to train. I used to walk. I used to do this and that. And now all I can do is be a mum and give time to my children. And it's like they have to refine themselves because they will be happier. If all they can now identify as is a mum and a wife, they will end up being miserable. And a lot of them are that come to us. A lot of them are sad in their lives. And it's because they've lost themselves. Whereas weight training gives you that avenue to refine that identity, something you do completely independently that takes you away from your family for an hour every couple of times a week. It's not a lot. That you can really focus on you, your goals, what you want to achieve. And that is very empowering because it gives you back some identity.
Absolutely. Okay, so women should get involved in weight training. We've talked about the mental benefits, the empowerment, the confidence it gives you. Is there anything else that would benefit a woman from doing weight training? What about on a hormonal level? I know we're going to cover this again later, but is there anything we can touch on now?
Yeah, I mean, the evidence is out there, and they've studied it in how you feel. A lot of women will report that the symptoms of their menstrual cycle is lessened when they train. It gives you a little bit more of a, right, I need to show up for myself, even though I can't be bothered because my period's a bit bad at the moment. It gives you kind of that drive. Obviously, in terms of, later on in life, when you start in perimenopause and menopause, there is a huge benefit to weight training. Women are more at risk of things like muscular atrophy, where you literally lose muscle mass. You're at risk of bone mineral density loss. And weight training doesn't just reduce the risk, it stops it. There is nothing more beneficial than weight training when it comes to perimenopause or menopause, because it really does stop these things that is caused essentially by aging.
Is there anything you'd like to finish on to give any women that might listen who are interested in getting into the gym, lifting weights, whatever it is, as maybe words of encouragement to just help get them started a little bit so that they can get the benefits you have?
I think just don't go mental on it. Like, you don't have to be training 6 days a week to get the benefit from weight training. Start with intention and do what you can within your lifestyle. And if that's 3 times a week, that's fine. And start somewhere. If you can start anywhere and it will benefit you. You don't have to think, oh God, I need to join the gym and I need to do X, Y, and Z and make anything too complicated. Even if you've just got a couple of sets of dumbbells at home, it's a start and it'll help you build your confidence. There's plenty of things online that can start you off when you're very first starting in your journey. Obviously, I would recommend reaching out to people that obviously you can get coaching from potentially. If that's not something you can do within your lifestyle, then there is plenty of sources online that can get you started.
There's absolutely plenty of resources online. You know, if you're someone who would love to work with a coach but maybe can't right now, can't afford it, or whatever it is, don't let that deter you. There are so many places that you can look online that will give you good advice. There are so many good people that you can follow online that will be able to give you that, you know, boost of confidence, those tips, those things that you can get for free that will just get you started. And getting started is all you need to do. You just need to take those first steps.
Yeah, and don't overthink it. Don't overcomplicate it. You don't need to be on TikTok doing all these fancy exercises that look complicated. If you just start off with some basics, a squat, some sort of pull, some sort of push, some sort of lunge variation, 4 exercises that cover some key components, that's a great start. And it really doesn't take long to see results either, in terms of seeing the difference between your strength and your muscle growth and your health. Like, it doesn't take a long time. It might feel like it does because maybe that's because you're concentrating on your body changing in the mirror as opposed to focusing on the health benefits that you're feeling as opposed to seeing. And you'll, you know, as a nice side effect to all of that, you will also see physical changes.
We mentioned before, you know, sometimes you have to improve your relationship with yourself, and weight training is definitely a way that you can do that. Improve your relationship with yourself and your body before you'll actually start to see those changes long term and keep them. So that's definitely something you can work on. So women, if you are wanting to change something about yourself and start prioritizing yourself and making sure that you value your own health, then do look into getting into some weight training. It will benefit you. But all exercise is going to help, but there are some extra benefits when it comes to weight training.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. If you've enjoyed this week's podcast in recognition of International Women's Day, completely lost my train of thought. In recognition of International Women's Day, it's all gone to pot now. International Women's Day. We'll just call it IWD. Then do share it. Do give us a like and send it to anyone who might also feel a value from hearing it. And hopefully next week we will be able to enlighten you more about training around menopause and around your menstrual cycle.
Yes.
Thanks.
Thank you.